The internet, repository of all human knowledge and videos of goats singing Taylor Swift songs.
Now I'm lying on the cold, hard ground.
Come on! The internet is an incredible place. And tonight, we need to talk about an issue that is impacting it. Net neutrality. If that term rings a bell, we actually talked about it in our 5th ever episode 3 years ago. A piece that got a weird amount of attention.
Last Week Tonight with John Oliver has languished in relative obscurity since its debut in April. But this week, an Oliver diatribe about net neutrality went viral.
Hey, fuck you, lady! I didn't languish in relative obscurity. I thrived in relative obscurity. Relative obscurity is my middle name. But incredibly, being negged by WGBH Boston was not the weirdest bit of attention that segment attracted. That, without a doubt, would be this.
All right, it's comedian John Oliver in New York.
They did a big piece on net neutrality and the FCC, and he directed everybody to go to the FCC website and leave, like, hateful comments.
And it turns out it totally worked! The FCC's website crashed! You did it, John!
I didn't do anything.
What?
People did it.
Yeah.
I just merely pointed out a problem.
Now, yeah, I will admit that is a quintessentially British excuse. You cannot possibly hold me responsible for what the masses decide to make a fuss about. Now run along, scallywag. I said good day to you. Good day, sir! Now, the reason for our segment 3 years ago was that the future of net neutrality was in question, and to their credit, the FCC took steps to safeguard it. And if you're wondering why I'm even bringing up a problem that was seemingly solved, this is why.
The Trump administration today announcing plans to roll back Obama-era net neutrality rules on equal access.
Of course! It seems that the Trump era will basically Control-Z everything that happened on Obama's watch. I genuinely would not be surprised if one night Trump went on TV just to tell us that he personally killed every turkey Obama ever pardoned. The point is, though, once again, net neutrality is in trouble. And if you need a refresher on what it involves, please let the star of the 2007 viral smash video, Chocolate Rain, explain it to you in 30 seconds.
Net neutrality is the idea that your pipe to the internet, whether that is your cable internet connection, your LTE wireless internet connection, however you are receiving information via the internet, that pipeline to the internet is not allowed to arbitrarily pick favorites in terms of the content that you consume. For example, if you like to use Google search and your roommate likes to use Bing search, your internet service provider can't say, well, Bing is paying us a lot of money, so we're going to slow down Google and Yahoo and their other search engine competitors to make Bing load fast.
He's right, although that's obviously just a hypothetical. There is clearly no such search engine as Bing. Or maybe there is, I don't know. There's really only one way to find out, and that's by Googling it, and that's kind of the point. But net neutrality is about more than just speed. At its heart, it is the principle that internet service providers, or ISPs like these guys, should not be able to engage in any sort of fuckery that limits or manipulates the choices you make online. It also helps ensure a level playing field so that big companies cannot undermine small companies before they can take off. And without it, Ancestry.com could easily crush my new site, Just Tell Me If I'm Related to a Nazi.com. It's like Ancestry.com, except you get to skip all the bullshit. Net neutrality is objectively boring, and that used to work to ISP's advantage. But more people know what it is now, which is why some companies have started putting out statements trumpeting their support for a free and open internet. In fact, Verizon even created a video to calm any concerns that you might have.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Jeremy here with Craig Silliman, who is our general counsel and leads our public policy group. Let's jump right into it. Is the FCC going to kill what we know as the open internet rules or net neutrality?
The FCC is not talking about killing the net neutrality rules. And in fact, not we nor any other ISP are asking them to kill the open internet rules. All they're doing is looking to put the open internet rules in an enforceable way on a different legal footing.
Now, that sounds reasonable. And why wouldn't you trust the commitment to open access of a man sitting at a table literally blocking an entire hallway? But while a different legal footing sounds pretty benign, it is not. And it is also worth understanding how net neutrality landed on its current legal footing, because it happens to directly involve Verizon. So let me explain, and unfortunately, to do that, I have to introduce you to two terms even more boring than net neutrality, specifically Title I and Title II of the Communications Act of 1934, the equivalent of chasing an Ambien with a shot of chloroform. But here is very broadly what happened. Back in 2010, the FCC wrote net neutrality rules governing ISPs, which at the time were regulated under the less strict Title I. And the companies found those net neutrality rules inconvenient. In fact, Verizon successfully sued the FCC, arguing that it didn't have enough authority to enforce those rules. And the court ruled that if the FCC did want strong, enforceable net neutrality, their best option would be to reclassify ISPs under Title II, which allows for much stronger oversight. So the FCC did that, and the fact they did was huge. So when Verizon claims, hey, we love the open internet, but why don't we just put it on a different legal footing? It's basically O.J. Simpson asking why you won't let him hold any of your samurai swords. Come on, Juice. You know why. You of anyone should know why. And the ISPs now have a powerful ally on their side, because Trump has appointed a new head of the FCC, and it is this guy.
Ajit Pai is known for being anti-regulation, pro-merger. Last month, he said he wanted to, quote, take a weed whacker to current FCC rules and predicted net neutrality's, quote, days are numbered.
Wow, OK. Days are numbered and take a weed whacker are serial killer talk. So that is pretty ominous. When the Code of Federal Regulations looks out of its window at night, there's just Ajit Pai standing silently, holding his weed whacker, waiting for his chance. But the dangerous thing about Pai is that he presents himself as a fun, down-to-earth nerd, the kind of guy whose Twitter feed is full of quotes from The Big Lebowski. He quotes it all the time. And look, quoting The Big Lebowski is fine in certain contexts. For example, if you're an actor and it's 1998 and you're filming the movie The Big Lebowski. But it is completely intolerable in any other context. And that's not his only fun guy at the office traits. Just watch his very first press conference as chairman.
I would be happy to take questions from the panel.
Monty, why don't you go ahead? Monty Taylor, Com Daily. How do you plan to examine...
Yes. Ajit Pai is the kind of guy who has a fun, oversized novelty mug, and he is really proud of it. Because here he is showing it off to a reporter. Here he is showing it off to his Twitter feed, and in his first speech to his staff as commissioner, he said, I love walking into my office, pouring about a gallon of coffee into my infamous Reese's Peanut Butter Cups mug and starting my day. And you heard right, he described his own mug as infamous, which is offensive for two reasons. First, at no point should you be describing your own fun mug aloud in the company of other adults. And second, it's a fucking mug. Calling a mug infamous is like calling your neti pot a real panty dropper. In no context can that be remotely true. But for all of Pai's doofy, hey, I'm just like you guys persona, there are some things about him that you should really know. He's a former lawyer for Verizon, and despite being a smart man, he sure loves to play dumb over why ISPs were ever moved to Title II.
For decades before 2015, we had a free and open internet. Indeed, the free and open internet developed and flourished under light touch regulation. We weren't living in some digital dystopia before the partisan imposition of a massive plan hatched in Washington saved all of us.
Now, that is true. 2015 was not a digital dystopia for anyone, with the possible exception of Pizza Rat. Because think about it, the internet put that rat through hell. One cheat day in 3 months of eating paleo, and she never hears the fucking end of it. Oh, that's right, I said she, hashtag greasy filth monster, hashtag feminism. But Pai's larger argument there is deeply disingenuous, because he has to know that Verizon, his ex-employer, won a lawsuit that meant if the FCC wanted strong, enforceable protection, its only real option was to reclassify the ISPs. And yet he cheerily insists, under questioning, that there is just no evidence that cable companies were engaging in rampant wrongdoing.
Let's just say Comcast created a new TV series, and it just so happened that that competed with a Netflix series very similarly. If these rules go away, how is there not an incredible incentive for Comcast to slow Netflix down coming into my house and make their video, the Comcast video, very robust?
So under that hypothetical, one of the things that's important to remember is that it is a hypothetical, that we don't see evidence of that happening in the marketplace on a widespread level.
But here's the thing. There are multiple examples of ISP fuckery over the years. For instance, a few years back, Verizon, AT&T and T-Mobile at one point shut out Google Wallet from their phones, a product that coincidentally happened to compete with their own mobile payment app. An app, incidentally, that had a significant flaw. It's a little subtle, but see if you can spot it.
Following in the footsteps of PayPal and Google Wallet is a virtual mobile wallet app called ISIS.
That is fucking incredible. If only because it means that at some point someone's mom probably sent a text along the lines of, "How do I make a payment to ISIS? Love, Mom. P.S. Let me know about Passover." And incidentally, when people complained that they couldn't use Google Wallet, T-Mobile sent out tweets, and this is true, like, "We're supporting ISIS, we're really loving ISIS, and we have chosen to work with ISIS and hope to roll that out to everyone very soon." And yet, despite T-Mobile's vocal support for ISIS, which is all you should ever think about now, whenever you hear the word T-Mobile, or ISIS for that matter, they're essentially the same thing. Pi's main argument is that we don't need Title II to have net neutrality, but some of his ideas for what to have instead are almost laughably lax. For instance, he reportedly floated just having ISPs voluntarily agree not to obstruct or slow consumer access to web content by putting that promise in their terms of service. You know, the things that no human being has ever read, and that can change whenever companies want them to. That idea would basically make net neutrality as binding as a proposal on The Bachelor. Vanessa, I have determined you to be marginally better for my brand than Corinne, but I reserve the right to change this agreement in the future should ABC ever offer me a slot on Fuckpile Island. And Pi's other big argument to remove ISPs from Title II is that it places too great a regulatory burden on companies and that it's already caused them to scale back their investment in broadband networks.
The economics are simple here. The more heavily you regulate something, the less of it you're going to get. So, what happened after the FCC imposed Title II? Sure enough, infrastructure investment declined.
OK, so what he's essentially suggesting there is that as soon as Title II came in, companies said, fuck it, investing in infrastructure is way too difficult now, we're not doing it anymore. In fact, pull some of the cable out of the ground, we're going back to the telegraph. But it is worth noting, infrastructure investment is harder to measure than you may think, and Pi's numbers are in dispute. In fact, several companies have gone on the record saying their business has largely been unaffected by Title II. And maybe the best way to gauge Title II's impact is to listen to what cable companies told their own investors, to whom they are legally obligated to tell the truth. So here is what Verizon told its investors in 2014 about what the switch to Title II would mean for them.
I mean, to be real clear, I mean, this does not influence the way we invest. I mean, we're going to continue to invest in our networks and our platforms, both in wireless and wireline Fios and where we need to. So nothing will influence that.
Oh, OK. So that doesn't really sound like net neutrality was jeopardising investment at all. Although, to be fair, that was a phone call and it was Verizon. So it's entirely possible that every other word was dropped. The fact is, Title II is the most solid legal foundation we have right now for a strong, enforceable net neutrality protections. So Pi saying, let's have an open internet without it, is like me saying, hey, how about you have a gallon of coffee without your stupid fucking mug? Just pour it into your hands and trust that you won't get burnt. Oh, and Mr. Chairman, I know that you're probably thinking, well, you're only making fun of my mug because you're jealous of it. To which I would say, why would I be jealous? Your mug's not that big. You want to know what I'm drinking? I'm drinking the blood of smaller mugs. Cheers. Now the ISPs The ISPs will tell you that net neutrality could be protected by an act of Congress. But I do not particularly trust this or any Congress to get something as complicated as this right. And I definitely wouldn't want the current president involved as, and this will not surprise you, he doesn't seem to have any idea what any of this is.
Trump once tweeted back in 2014, Obama's attack on the internet is another top-down power grab. Net neutrality is the fairness doctrine. Will target conservative media.
But that's the exact opposite of what it did. Trump could not have been more off base if he tweeted, net neutrality is the Monroe Doctrine, will target the Wu-Tang Clan. So sadly, it seems once more, we the people must take this matter into our own hands. Because the FCC are again going to invite public comment on their website. And conveniently for them, the process is actually a lot more complicated this time than it was 3 years ago. You have to go to fcc.gov/lowercase ECFS/search-proceedings. Then, when you get to this page, put in the proceeding number, which is 17-108, then hit search, and on the next page, restoring internet freedom should be the only result you see. Then, click on the link that says Express, and then and only then can you leave your comment. And if you're thinking, well, look, that's just too complicated, I'm not doing it, don't worry, because that's why we bought the URL gofccyourself.com. And if you simply go there, it will land you straight on this page, where all you have to do is hit Express and comment, telling Agit Pie that you specifically support strong net neutrality backed by Title II oversight of ISPs. And every internet group needs to come together like you successfully did 3 years ago. Every subculture must join as one. Gamers, YouTube celebrities, Instagram models, Tom from MySpace if you're still alive. We need all of you, even, and I cannot believe I'm saying this, Donald Trump's internet fans on sites like 4chan and Reddit, the most powerful online trolls of all. This subject is one of the few things that we actually really agree on. So simply express yourselves and harness the rage that you normally reserve for me. The rage that you used when you said I'm genuinely one of the most visually and intellectually repulsive people I've ever seen, with oddly long thumbs, batshit crazy eyes, and a mouth that looks like a cemetery after an earthquake. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. The point is, everyone needs to get involved. Comment now, and then maybe comment again once the FCC makes its proposal official. Even call your representative and your senators, and do not tell me that you don't have time to do this. If the internet is evidence of nothing else, it is evidence that we all have way too much time on our hands. And yes, I'm talking to you, everyone who posted May the 4th be with you for Star Wars Day, this and every fucking year. And I'm talking to you, everyone who posted on Facebook about 10 concerts you've seen and one you didn't. And to you, everyone who did it ironically and added a clever joke twist because, and this is important, you are exactly as bad. Because you cannot say that you are too busy when 540,000 of you commented on Beyoncé's pregnancy announcement and 673 of you took the time to review the Grand Canyon on Yelp, 7 of whom gave it a 1-star review. What the fuck is wrong with you? And I'm specifically looking at you, person on Amazon who gave The Wolf of Wall Street 1 star because, and I quote, there were no wolves in the movie. And to you, the 31 people who took the time to say they found that review helpful. And finally, I'm looking at the frankly surprising number of people who, for some reason, keep tweeting, choke me, daddy, at the Pope. You're wasting your time. He's not going to choke you. The optics would be very bad. So come on, I am calling upon all of you, the internet's time wasters and troublemakers, to join me once more in just 5 to 10 minutes of minor effort. I need you to do this. Once more unto the breach, my friends. Simply go to this URL and tell the FCC to preserve net neutrality and Title II. Once again, commenters, America needs you to rise, or more accurately, remain seated in front of your computer screen to this occasion. So please, fly, my pretties, fly once more! Fly